Hey guys, Mario Peshev from Devrix here. Today I'm going to talk about practicing web development and internet marketing at the same time. Obviously, digital marketing has been on the rise for a while. You have all those bloggers, influencers, vloggers, YouTube marketers, and all that jazz basically. And you also have a lot of great products out there built by software engineers that don't really get a lot of traction. So, needless to say, both areas are kind of equally important, especially if you're in a tech startup or even if you're in a technical company where you need to kind of sell your own products or work with marketeers and so on. So, a question in Quora that kind of piqued my attention is it realistic to aspire to be both a web developer and a digital marketer? So the short answer is no. So obviously you can be either. You can be a web developer, you can be a marketer. There are certain people who can excel at both. That's usually folks that have spent over a decade working in the industry, or say web developers that have been involved in kind of building tools for marketers or software as a service solutions, or people who have spent most of their career in kind of marketing teams in marketing firms working closely with marketers. But more often than not, that's not really something that's feasible. So um, basically, if you're a beginner or a web developer who's interested in marketing, or a marketer who wants to kind of be able to build their own websites and stuff like that, my suggestion would be spend at least 5-6 years, maybe even more, on one of those areas, and then figure out whether it makes more sense investing in that particular thing that you already do, or kind of specializing in both web development and internet marketing at the same time. Because case in point is, if you specialize in two different areas that, to be honest, don't really have a lot in common, what will finally happen is you will take twice the time to learn each area in particular. So, for example, if you start together right now with someone, in your class at the university or something like that, so if you spend 4 years on both and they spend 4 years on, say, only web development, this would result in them being twice as good as you in 4 years, simply because they spent the whole 4 years spent on invested in them in that particular area. So that's incredibly important for you to know, and something that you want to plan, if you kind of want to excel in your career. Um, so obviously, there are certain benefits to those, especially if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a startup owner, if you simply want to run a lifestyle business with your specific solution, then it would make a lot of sense to kind of specialize in both areas in kind of at the same time. But that's usually trickier, especially for marketers who want to kind of get involved with web development. It's trickier because the depth of web development usually requires those skills related to a computer science degree, understanding computer architectures, operating systems, networks, data structures, algorithms, all sorts of things related to the entire stack. Even as a web developer, for example, you need to understand how your product works on top of a web server, a database server. Those are installed on a operating system. What's the consumption of CPU, RAM, the IO operations on your disk, how to kind of distribute that operation across multiple servers. Even if you're using a cloud environment, that's still kind of important how everything scales. Then optimization, security, stability, all that stuff. So it's kind of trickier, and it's a little bit more common for kind of tech entrepreneurs to learn marketing over time than marketers who kind of get involved with web development. Even though both cases are possible, it's just more natural and kind of works more seamlessly, especially given the fact, like I said, that kind of tech people can also work in a marketing capacity, or at least in a marketing role to some extent, working alongside other marketers. So if you really aim for a specific career, do try to specialize in one of those areas, not in both areas at the same time. There are certain opportunities, again, for example, marketing agencies that need kind of people who understand everything, learning a bit of pretty much everything, kind of setting up a website, installing hosting, domains, all that stuff, and also probably some Photoshop, and also probably, understanding how to do proper landing pages, dealing with conversion rate optimization and stuff like that. But it's not as common. So if you aim for that sort of kind of career, of course, go for it. Otherwise, do try to spend at least 5-6 years in one of those roles before deciding to pursue the others. The other obviously alternative is, as for example, a web developer, just join a company that really depends on, understanding business roles and business capacities, or company that builds marketing software. Like, for example, you can apply for, SEMrush or Moz or Buzzsum or something else, where developers need to understand the basic needs of a customer, the market persona, the target market, their customer audience, data analytics, a lot of other stuff, in order to kind of excel at both areas at the same time. If you're obviously an entrepreneur or someone who is about to start a venture as one of those, consider, finding a co-founder, like someone who's equally proficient in the corresponding area that you'd like to kind of complement in addition to your own solutions. So consider pairing with someone else, or working with a consultant, or working with an agency for starters, until you kind of pick up the ropes of the job through, say, blogs, YouTube videos, courses, all that stuff that can kind of give you the insider information for that. So yes, it is possible to be a web developer and a digital marketer at the same time. In terms of the best way to do that, specialize in one of those roles, become proficient in it, probably work in some startups or some agencies that combine both skills until you kind of get the basics right. Spend a year or two practicing, kind of pumping up your social media accounts, writing regular content, educational articles, how-tos, all sort of stuff. Measure all the data, run campaigns, track key performance indicators, all that stuff. Or start kind of a pet project at your own time, just a SaaS that you've built, and try to promote it yourself after hours until you kind of figure out the basics. Work with other people, interact with people working in the different role in order to understand the basic needs of the job position itself, the main things that the person is doing for a living on a day-to-day, and then try to kind of merge both things into a same industry.